Christmas morning was always special in our home. After 5 years of marriage, I still woke up early to make Jessica's favorite cinnamon coffee before she opened her presents. I thought our life together was perfect, the downtown apartment, our golden retriever, and plans for starting a family next year. Then I heard it while passing the guest room, Jessica's voice, unnaturally cold. Danny's, so pathetic. My world froze as my wife continued speaking to her sister about me. What followed changed everything. Before we continue this story, let me know where you're watching from. Drop a like and subscribe if you've ever trusted someone completely, only to discover they weren't who you thought they were. I always believed I had the perfect life with my wife Jessica. At 34, I had established myself as a successful software engineer at a prominent tech firm in downtown Chicago. The hours were long, but the compensation allowed me to provide the comfortable lifestyle Jessica and I enjoyed. Our story began 6 years ago at my college roommate's wedding. Jessica was a bridesmaid, and from the moment I saw her laughing with the bride, something inside me shifted. She had this captivating presence that drew everyone in. Intelligent, charming, and seemingly kind-hearted Jessica became the center of my world almost immediately. We exchanged numbers that night, and within a week we were inseparable. Our romance moved quickly, and within a year, I found myself proposing on a weekend trip to Lake Michigan. When she said yes, I genuinely believed I had found my forever. Our marriage appeared picture-perfect to anyone looking in. We took exotic vacations twice yearly, posting enviable photos from beaches in Thailand and mountain retreats in Colorado. We had shared hobbies like hiking and trying new restaurants. Our mutual friends often commented on how well-matched we seemed, how in sync our communication was, how we complemented each other perfectly. "You guys are relationship goals," my coworker Jake would say whenever Jessica brought lunch to the office, always smiling brilliantly at everyone she met. Our downtown Chicago apartment was everything we had dreamed of when we first married. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline, and during December, the view of snow falling against the illuminated buildings was magical. This Christmas, I had outdone myself with decorations. A 7-foot tree filled our living room corner, adorned with ornaments we had collected over our years together. Presents wrapped in coordinating paper filled the space beneath, most of them carefully selected by me for Jessica. Jessica's younger sister Amanda had arrived 3 days before Christmas. She and Jessica had always been close, though I sensed Amanda never fully approved of me. There was something in the way she looked at me sometimes, a slight dismissiveness that I chose to overlook for Jessica's sake. Still, I made every effort to be welcoming, preparing the guest room with fresh flowers and a basket of Amanda's favorite snacks. Christmas Eve dinner was special. I spent all day in the kitchen preparing prime rib, roasted potatoes, and a chocolate souffle that Jessica loved. When I served dinner, Jessica's face lit up. "Danny, this is incredible," she said, squeezing my hand across the table. "You really outdid yourself this year." Amanda nodded in agreement, raising her wine glass. To my brother-in-law, the chef, I beamed with pride, completely missing the glance exchanged between the sisters. Looking back now, there were signs I should have recognized. Small red flags that my love for Jessica blinded me to completely. Over the past few months, Jessica had become increasingly secretive with her phone, angling it away when I entered a room. Unexplained expenses appeared on our joint credit card statement that she would vaguely attribute to gifts or work expenses. There was an emotional distance growing between us that I attributed to her stressful job as a marketing executive. "Just end-of-year pressure," she would say when I asked if everything was okay. "Things will calm down after the holidays." I believed her every time. That Christmas Eve, after dinner and dessert, I stayed up late wrapping the final presents for Jessica. I had spent months selecting items I thought would make her happy. A diamond bracelet from the jeweler she had subtly pointed out during a shopping trip in October. First edition copies of her favorite classic novels and tickets to see her favorite band in February. While I wrapped, I could hear Jessica and Amanda talking in the guest room upstairs, their voices, a distant murmur, I could not make out. I went to bed feeling content, excited for Christmas morning, and the joy I anticipated seeing on Jessica's face when she opened her gifts. I truly believed this holiday would bring us closer, reigniting the connection that had seemed somewhat dimmed in recent months. How wrong I was. Christmas morning arrived with gentle snowfall outside our bedroom window. Jessica was still asleep when I slipped out of bed at 7, eager to prepare her favorite breakfast before the gift exchange. I moved quietly through our kitchen, brewing her preferred cinnamon coffee and preparing French toast with fresh berries and maple syrup. Our golden retriever Max followed me around, hoping for scraps. "Not today, buddy," I whispered, patting his head. "But I did get you a special Christmas treat for later." With breakfast arranged on a tray, I headed upstairs to call Jessica and Amanda down. As I approached the guest room, I noticed the door slightly ajar, voices drifting into the hallway. I slowed my steps, not intending to eavesdrop, but then I heard my name. "Danny is so pathetic," Jessica said, her voice carrying a tone I had never heard before. Cold, contemptuous, almost cruel. I swear I have faked every smile this entire week. I froze in the hallway, breakfast tray still in my hands, as Amanda laughed in response. "What about all those gifts under the tree?" Amanda asked. "Every gift I bought him was from his own credit card," Jessica replied, and I could hear the eye roll in her voice. "He never checks the statements carefully. I just tell him they're work expenses or something for the house." My heart pounded in my chest as I stood motionless in the hallway. 5 years of marriage, and I had never heard Jessica speak this way. "He is like a trained dog," she continued. "Always so eager to please, always so grateful for any scrap of attention I throw his way. Do you know he spent 6 hours making dinner yesterday? And for what? So I could text with Ryan while pretending to enjoy his soufflé." Ryan. The name hit me like a physical blow. Ryan was Jessica's ex-boyfriend from college. The one she had assured me was completely in the past. "How long has that been going on again?" Amanda asked, and the casual way she posed the question made it clear this was not news to her. "On and off since before the wedding," Jessica said, and they both laughed again. "Danny has no idea. He actually thinks I'm happy with him. And the plan is still the same." Amanda's voice dropped slightly, but I could still hear her clearly. "You're waiting until he gets that promotion in February before I tell him I want a divorce." "Yes," Jessica finished. "His salary would nearly double. My lawyer says timing is everything if I want the settlement to be worth it." Their conversation continued, but I could no longer process the words. A high-pitched ringing filled my ears as nausea swept through me. The breakfast tray trembled in my hands, coffee threatening to spill. With more self-control than I knew I possessed, I silently backed away from the door and retreated to the bathroom at the end of the hall. Locking the door behind me, I set down the tray and gripped the edges of the sink, staring at my reflection in the mirror. The face looking back at me seemed suddenly foreign. Who was this man who had been so thoroughly deceived? How had I missed the signs? Every moment of our relationship flashed before me, now cast in a sickening new light. My initial instinct was confrontation. To storm into that room and demand answers. To ask Jessica how she could have lied to my face for years. To question how the woman I had trusted with my heart could have betrayed me so completely. But even through the shock, something more rational took hold. If I confronted her now, I would only get more lies. Jessica would deny, minimize, twist my words until somehow I was the one apologizing. I had seen her do it before in smaller conflicts. And if her plan truly hinged on my upcoming promotion and the financial benefits she hoped to extract from our divorce, confronting her now would only put her on guard. No. The wiser course was to observe, to understand the full extent of her deception before deciding how to proceed. With trembling hands, I splashed cold water on my face, took several deep breaths, and made a decision. I would get through Christmas Day. I would smile and exchange gifts, and play the role of the loving husband. But nothing would ever be the same. Composing myself, I picked up the breakfast tray and returned downstairs to wait for them. My mind racing with questions, and a dull ache spreading through my chest where my heart used to be. 20 minutes later, Jessica and Amanda came downstairs, both in matching Christmas pajamas that Jessica had bought them as an early gift. With new awareness, I noticed how Jessica's smile never quite reached her eyes as she kissed my cheek and thanked me for breakfast. "This looks amazing, honey," she said, taking a small bite of French toast. You always make Christmas so special." I watched her performance with a strange detachment, wondering how I had ever believed it was genuine. The subtle glance between the sisters, when they thought I wasn't looking. The way Amanda smirked slightly whenever I spoke. It was all so obvious now. "Should we open presents?" I suggested after they had finished eating, maintaining the cheerful tone expected on Christmas morning. "Yes." Jessica clapped her hands together like an excited child, another performance for my benefit. "I cannot wait for you to see what I got you this year." We moved to the living room, settling around the tree. I handed Jessica her first gift, watching her face carefully as she unwrapped the diamond bracelet I had spent months saving for. "Oh my God, Danny," she gasped, holding it up to the light. "This is beautiful. You should not have spent so much." "Only the best for you," I replied, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I knew now that while I had been saving for this gift, she had been texting with Ryan planning our divorce. Jessica handed me a large box wrapped in silver paper. "This one first," she said, watching eagerly as I opened it. Inside was a high-end camera I had mentioned wanting almost 6 months ago. Under normal circumstances, I would have been thrilled that she remembered. Now I covertly checked my phone while she was distracted with another gift, pulling up my credit card statement. There it was, a charge from the exact store in the exact amount made 2 weeks ago. "This is exactly what I wanted," I said, matching her performance with one of my own. "Thank you, sweetheart." The gift exchange continued, each present from Jessica to me another item purchased with my own money. The limited edition sneakers I had pointed out during a shopping trip. The leather messenger bag I had bookmarked on my laptop. The watch I had admired in a store window. All chosen to create the illusion she knew me well, cared about my interests. By 11, family members started arriving for our annual Christmas gathering. Jessica's parents, my brother and his wife, and several close friends filled our apartment with noise and activity. I moved through the day in a fog, maintaining my composure through sheer determination. Each time someone commented on what a lovely couple we made, I felt a fresh wave of pain wash over me. Throughout the day, I found myself observing Jessica with new eyes, noticing patterns I had been blind to before. The way she would touch my arm affectionately when others were watching, but step away the moment attention shifted elsewhere. The slightly exaggerated enthusiasm when opening gifts in front of family. The subtle condescension in her voice. When discussing my work accomplishments, as if they were childish achievements rather than professional successes. Amanda was worse, barely concealing her disdain for me. When I mentioned my upcoming promotion, she said, "Well, it's about time they recognized your efforts," with such emphasis that the insult was clear, though plausibly deniable. Several times throughout the day, I had to excuse myself, retreating to our bedroom or the bathroom to process waves of emotion that threatened to overwhelm me. Anger, betrayal, humiliation all crashed over me in turns. But each time I collected myself and returned to the performance. During family dinner, I noticed Jessica's phone lighting up repeatedly. She kept it face down on the table, but occasionally checked it when she thought no one was looking. From my seat, I could just make out Ryan's name on the screen. She was texting him on Christmas Day while seated at a table with her husband and family. Later, while helping Jessica's mother with the dishes, I overheard another conversation between Jessica and Amanda in the hallway. "So after New Year's, you will go to the cabin with Ryan, while Danny thinks you're at that marketing retreat?" Amanda asked. "Yes, we will have 4 uninterrupted days together," Jessica replied. "I've already booked it under a company name, so it would not look suspicious if Danny happened to see the charge. And he still has no idea. None. He still thinks we are trying for a baby next year." The casual cruelty of that statement nearly broke my carefully maintained composure. We had spent countless nights discussing our future children, choosing names, imagining who they might become. All while she was planning a life with someone else. As the day wore on and guests began to leave, I helped clean up wrapping paper, wash dishes, and see people out with mechanical politeness. Jessica's parents were the last to go, her father clapping me on the shoulder with genuine affection. "You are a good man, Danny," he said. "Jessica is lucky to have you." I nodded, unable to form words past the lump in my throat, knowing this might be the last time I would see these people who had become like second parents to me. When the door closed behind them, I turned to find Jessica in the living room scrolling through her phone with a slight smile on her face. I studied her features. The woman I had built my life around, the face I had woken up to for 5 years, the person I had trusted above all others. I wondered how I had missed the deception that now seemed so obvious. For a moment I almost said something. Almost asked who she was texting with such enjoyment on Christmas night. Almost demanded to know how long she had been laughing at me behind my back. Almost asked if anything between us had ever been real. Instead, I simply said, "I will finish cleaning up. You must be tired." She looked up, that practiced smile sliding into place. "You are the best," she said, and kissed my cheek before heading upstairs. I stood alone in our living room, surrounded by the remnants of Christmas festivities, feeling more isolated than I had ever felt in my life. The days following Christmas passed in a strange, detached haze. Outwardly, I maintained the role of devoted husband, but internally, I was cataloging years of manipulation and gaslighting with new clarity. Instances where Jessica had made me question my own memory or perception now revealed themselves as deliberate manipulation. Financial discrepancies I had dismissed suddenly made perfect sense. Jessica returned to her normal routine, completely unaware that everything had changed. She left for work each morning with a kiss goodbye, texted throughout the day with mundane updates, and returned home to tell me about her day, all while I silently observed the performance I had once believed was genuine. 3 days after Christmas, while Jessica was at the office, I consulted with a lawyer. Meeting at a coffee shop far from our neighborhood, I explained my situation, careful to stick to facts rather than emotions. "I need to know my options," I told the stern-faced woman across from me. "And I need complete discretion." She nodded, explaining the process of documenting financial discrepancies, gathering evidence of unauthorized credit card use, and preparing for separation in a way that would protect my interests. "Do not confront her yet," she advised. "The element of surprise will work in your favor. Use this time to secure your documents. Separate your finances where possible, and gather evidence." I took her advice seriously. That evening I went through our home office while Jessica was at her book club, which I now suspected was another lie, and collected all my important documents, birth certificate, passport, financial records, placing them in a secure location, outside our home. I downloaded statements proving Jessica's unauthorized use of my credit cards and documented the gifts she had claimed to purchase for me with her own money. The following day, I visited our bank during my lunch break and opened a separate account in my name, only transferring half of our savings. Not everything I was entitled to, but enough to establish myself independently. I contacted my credit card companies to issue new cards, and began monitoring all accounts closely. Finding a new apartment was surprisingly simple. A building 10 blocks from our office had a 1-bedroom unit available immediately. I signed a 6-month lease, paid the deposit from my new separate account, and began moving essential items in small batches when Jessica was not home. Throughout this process, I maintained perfect normalcy in Jessica's presence. I made dinner, asked about her day, watched TV beside her in the evening. She never noticed the subtle changes, the missing documents, the gradually disappearing personal items, the emotional withdrawal I could no longer prevent. New Year's Eve arrived, and Jessica announced she was meeting Amanda and some friends downtown for a party. I declined to join, claiming a migraine, and she seemed relieved. "You rest," she said, kissing my forehead with practiced concern. "I will not be too late." As soon as she left, I used the opportunity to access her laptop, which she had forgotten to take with her. What I found confirmed everything. Hidden social media accounts under a variation of her name. Hundreds of messages between her and Ryan dating back years. Photos of them together on days she had told me she was working or with friends. Plans for their future, explicit discussions of their life after she left me. Most devastating were the messages mocking me, messages where she shared private details of our life for Ryan and Amanda to laugh at. Intimate moments I had thought were sacred between us, reduced to ammunition for their amusement. I closed the laptop, a strange calm settling over me. The last lingering doubt was gone. The next day, I met with a financial advisor to protect my assets and finalize my exit strategy. 2 weeks after Christmas, I executed my plan. I waited until Jessica left for work, then took the day off to pack my remaining belongings. I left behind anything we had purchased together, taking only what was undisputedly mine. In the center of the dining table, I placed a folder containing printed evidence of her infidelity, financial deception, and a detailed letter explaining that I had overheard her conversation with Amanda on Christmas morning. My letter was calm, factual, and final. I heard everything you said to Amanda on Christmas morning. I know about Ryan. I know about the credit cards. I know about the divorce plans after my promotion. I have secured legal representation and will only communicate through them moving forward. The rent is paid through the end of the month. What you do after that is no longer my concern. I took one last look around the apartment that had been my home, patted Max goodbye, leaving detailed instructions for his care until arrangements could be made, and walked out, locking the door behind me. My new apartment was sparse but functional. I had purchased only necessities: a bed, a couch, basic kitchen supplies. That first night alone was a mixture of grief and liberation. I turned off my phone after changing my number, disconnecting myself from Jessica's inevitable reaction when she arrived home to find me gone. The next morning, I contacted my workplace to update my personal information and spoke with security about not allowing Jessica into the building. I withdrew from our joint accounts, changed all passwords, and froze the credit cards Jessica had been using. 2 days later, Amanda's text arrived on my work email, the only contact information Jessica still had. She is screaming. Please answer her. I replied once briefly. I heard everything on Christmas morning. All communication should go through my lawyer. I included my attorney's contact information and blocked the email address. Through mutual friends, I learned that Jessica was frantically trying to salvage the situation. She had shown up at my workplace only to be turned away by security. She had called my brother, who, after hearing my side, refused to reveal my whereabouts. She had even gone to my parents' home in Michigan, where my mother listened to her tears and apologies before calmly asking her to leave. You broke my son's heart, my mother reportedly told her. You used him. No mother forgives that. As divorce proceedings began, Jessica attempted to manipulate the narrative, telling friends I had abandoned her without warning, that I had misunderstood innocent conversations, that she had made mistakes, but deserved another chance. Few believed her, especially after several friends admitted she had made disparaging comments about me to them over the years. The truth about Ryan eventually emerged as well. A mutual friend reluctantly confirmed they had seen Jessica with him multiple times over the years, including just days after our honeymoon. The relationship had indeed been ongoing throughout most of our marriage. In the months that followed, I focused on healing. Therapy helped me process the betrayal and recognize that Jessica's deception reflected her character, not my worth. I reconnected with friends. Jessica had subtly isolated me, rebuilt my support network, and gradually regained my sense of self. The promotion I had been working toward came through, though Jessica never benefited from it as she had planned. The divorce was finalized with minimal drama, as Jessica's attorney advised her that the evidence of her financial deception and infidelity would not work in her favor if she contested my terms. 6 months after Christmas Day, I ran into Jessica at a restaurant downtown. She had lost weight, and there was a desperate quality to her appearance. She approached my table, eyes filled with rehearsed tears. "Danny, please," she began. "Can we just talk? I have changed. Ryan and I are over. I made a terrible mistake." Looking at her, I felt nothing. The pain, the anger, even the love, all had faded to indifference. "There is nothing to talk about," I said calmly. "I wish you well, Jessica, but my life no longer has a place for you." As I walked away, I realized I meant it. I genuinely wished her well, not out of residual affection, but because I no longer needed to carry the weight of what she had done to me. A month later, I received an unexpected message from Amanda. Unlike Jessica's manipulative attempts at reconciliation, Amanda's message seemed genuinely remorseful. "I know I am the last person you want to hear from," she wrote, "but I need to apologize for my role in enabling Jessica's behavior. What we did was cruel and inexcusable. You deserved better." She went on to reveal that Jessica had shown similar patterns in relationships before me, charming partners, using them for financial or social gain, then discarding them when they no longer served her purpose. It does not excuse what I did, Amanda concluded, but I wanted you to know it was never about you. This is who she has always been. I thanked her for the apology but declined her suggestion to meet. Some bridges cannot and should not be rebuilt. As I reflected on my marriage, I began to recognize the red flags I had ignored, the inconsistencies in Jessica's stories, the friends who mysteriously disappeared from our lives after expressing concerns about her, the gradual isolation from my own support network, the constant small lies that I had dismissed as meaningless. 1 year after that fateful Christmas morning, I celebrated the holiday in my new apartment, now fully furnished and feeling like home. Friends surrounded me, including a few new ones, and my golden retriever, Max, whom Jessica had eventually surrendered to me, claiming he was too much work. For the first time in years, perhaps the first time ever, I felt genuine happiness, not the performative joy I had convinced myself was real during my marriage, but authentic contentment born of self-respect and honesty. I had learned painful but necessary lessons about trust, about recognizing manipulation, and most importantly about my own worth. I had discovered that walking away from someone who does not value you is not weakness. It is the ultimate form of self-respect. The journey from betrayal to healing was not linear. There were days when the pain felt fresh, when I questioned every memory, wondering what had been real and what had been performance. But gradually, those days became less frequent, replaced by a growing sense of peace and self-discovery. The initial devastation gave way to something unexpected: freedom. Freedom from constant, subtle manipulation. Freedom from walking on eggshells. Freedom from trying to please someone who could never truly be satisfied. In losing what I thought was the love of my life, I found myself. Through therapy and reflection, I learned the crucial difference between authentic relationships and performative ones. Real connection, I discovered, does not require constant validation or proof. It exists in quiet moments of genuine understanding, in respectful disagreements, in the ability to be fully yourself without fear of judgment. My approach to trust evolved. I became neither closed off nor naively open, but cautiously optimistic. I learned to watch actions more than words, to trust patterns of behavior rather than promises or performances. 8 months after my divorce was finalized, I met Sophia at a photography workshop. Unlike my whirlwind romance with Jessica, this connection developed slowly, authentically. Sophia respected boundaries, demonstrated consistent character, and showed genuine interest in my thoughts and feelings rather than what I could provide. When I eventually shared my story with her, she did not dismiss my experience or rush to assure me she was different. Instead, she said something that resonated deeply: trust should be earned gradually, not demanded immediately. I hope over time, I can show you who I really am. That single statement revealed more emotional maturity than Jessica had shown in our entire relationship. Perhaps the most important lesson I learned was that self-respect must be the foundation for any healthy relationship. Without valuing yourself, you cannot recognize when others devalue you. Without clear boundaries, you cannot identify when they are being crossed. Forgiveness came eventually, not for Jessica's benefit, but for my own. I forgave myself for being deceived, for ignoring red flags, for allowing someone else to define my worth. And in doing so, I released the anger that had threatened to harden my heart. To those of you watching who might recognize elements of my story in your own relationships, please hear this. You deserve authenticity. You deserve respect. You deserve to be more than someone's convenience or stepping stone. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from what hurts you, even when that means walking into uncertainty. Trust your instincts. Those uneasy feelings, those moments of doubt, they are often your subconscious recognizing patterns your conscious mind wants to ignore. Do not dismiss them as paranoia or insecurity. The most valuable insight I gained through this experience is that our greatest strength often emerges in our most vulnerable moments. When I stood alone in that new apartment, stripped of the life I had built, I discovered a resilience I never knew I possessed. The capacity to begin again, to rewrite my story on my own terms. Life after betrayal is not just possible, it can be richer, more authentic, and more fulfilling than before. Not immediately, not without work, but eventually. Have you ever discovered someone was not who they pretended to be? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more stories of resilience and healing. Remember that sharing these stories helps others who might be facing similar challenges feel less alone. Thank you for listening, and remember, your worth is never determined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to treat yourself.